I got something.
Okay.
Sometimes when I'm like mad or angry or just very emotional, I say stuff that I don't really mean and like to my girlfriend or like anyone, and I just was, are there methods that I can use to like better control my emotions?
And that's a very good question. I really think this emotional intelligence issue is massive for life in general, not just trying to. I think it's absolutely huge. We need to manage our emotions. And we ideally get to a point where we see that our emotions, although they're in us, they are not us. Okay. They're just part of us, part of us. One of my favorite stories on this, which probably some of you heard me say before, was a young man went to a guru for learning meditation. And they started meditating, and halfway through, the pupil kind of opened his eyes and looked at the guru, who seemed to be kind of laughing and scowling at the same time. Anyway, they continued with the session. And after the session, the pupil said, Guru, can I ask you something? He said, yes, of course. He said, I saw you halfway through the session and it looked like you were scowling and laughing. What was going on? He said, oh, I was laughing at my anger, laughing at my anger. In other words, he got to the point where he could see and feel the emotion, but separate himself from it, that he is not that anger. That is something that's going on inside his mind body, but that's not him. He does not have to be angry. Now, that's an amazing level of emotional intelligence, but that is the sort of distancing from our emotions that we need to do. We need to do that. Just because we're in a particular feeling state doesn't mean that's who we are. That doesn't mean that. I actually have been working last couple of weeks on a theory called programmed persona theory. You heard it first from me. Okay. And that comes from a variety of different works I've done. Different work. Specifically, I worked with a lady who had multiple personalities. She had several alter egos. And what was interesting is each of those alter egos had very separate physical characteristics. For example, one ego always had a migraine. And one time she came to me and said, oh, I've got this migraine. I haven't been able to do anything about it. I had it for 4 days. I said, okay. We did the hypnotic thing, removed the alter ego. He comes back 15 minutes later out of the hypnosis and says, oh my God, what happened? My migraine's gone. What that tells us is the incredible mind body, the complex communication that goes on between the trillions of cells in your body, okay, can create a sense of a particular state. You might call it mood, you might call it anger, whatever. And there is work. Back in the 1990s, Candace Pert wrote an amazing book called Molecules of Emotion, in which she said the cells in your body are really, your mind body is your subconscious, because they are processing 11 million bits of information a second. The communication is complex. They send this stuff into your consciousness and you say, oh man, I'm pissed off or I'm happy or whatever. So if that's the case, if that is the case, how do we decode those particular personas? How do we decode angry me? Well, how you decode it is by acting differently. So for example, if angry me requires the cells in my body to be really fired up, but I actually relax, I'm changing the coding and I'm changing that persona. The mind-body connection is mind-blowing. Some of you have heard me talk about this. I did a podcast with a guy called John Leaf, who wrote an amazing book called The Secret Language of Cells, and the complexity of the cells in the body, how they communicate all the time with each other to present us with the best estimate of what's happening, what we should do, all of those things.
I got some.
I'll give you an example. If you have an infection and you need more immune cells, T cells, the message goes to your thymus to make more T cells. We need more T cells. I'm sorry, not to your thymus, to your stem cells. Those cells then go to the thymus, which is here, and they undergo sort of investigation for two things. Cells test out these new T cells for, one, can they identify a toxin or a virus? And two, is their response to it appropriate? Because if it's overreaction, you're going to end up killing healthy cells. Now, this is an amazingly complex system, but this is what goes on all the time. And that and a lot of those cells get discarded because they don't pass the test. The ones that do are then directed to the particular part of the body that needs them in very specific ways, sort of a GPS through your body. This is where you need to get it. It's amazing. It blew my mind. And I've been in this business a long time. So we have a mind body that creates these, if you want to call them moods, personas, what have you. And we have the opportunity to say, actually, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be angry. I really don't want to be angry. Okay, so what do you have to do? You have to decode it. So how do you decode it? Well, you can decode it many ways. Break down this program, as it were, that underpins being angry. So it could be deep breathing. It could be relaxing. It could be meditation. It could be thinking about, this is not me. This is just a program, and I don't want to be like it. It could be, any number of things that break the code down. So you don't automatically, again, that's one of the problems, is we act automatically. And as you were saying, I end up saying things I really didn't mean, or I didn't want to say it. Now I've created a problem. That does not have to be you. It's just part of you that has been trained and programmed over the years through whatever reason, but it's been programmed and it's there. And you have the power to decode that, which is really amazing, because it means you have the power to decode lots of things in your life you don't like. Like using porn, or alcohol, or gambling, or being angry, or getting seriously depressed. Right? All of those things aren't you. They're just part of it. And I think that's what I like about this notion, is it's very empowering. Because we tend to, pick up our habits and say, well, that's just who I am. No, you don't. You have a choice. You don't have to be like that.